Hey, what's up, YouTube?
Hey, what's up, gamers? Welcome to
Nope,
the
nope.
third.
End the podcast. End the
Not
podcast.
gonna do that. Okay. This is the third Patreon episode of Well, There's Your Problem, a podcast which we record on time and which everything works in. And it's great. Do you want to do introductions this time, or do you want to talk about Wheel of Fortune?
I was just saying yell because we still had that. We interrupted. I was like excited because I was watching Wheel of Fortune at the bar,
Oh my God.
which is my favorite thing to do, other than watching Jeopardy at the bar, which is also very good. And then Alice, you came back on the Skype, and then it was like,
Yeah.
oh crap, we got to interrupt. We got to interrupt watching Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy to do the podcast. Now I'm mad. The one woman
It's
had
true.
like the $1 million wedge. And it's like, this is going to be an exciting episode. No.
Instead, you have to talk about some dumb guns bullshit with me.
Also,
your
fucking
friend.
screaming at before and after being Key West Side Story. I did not like that. I was very angry. I don't like the whole idea of before and after anyway, because it just confuses and infuriates me.
You don't like a Tarantino-esque narrative in your game shows?
No.
I solved it a few seconds before he did, and just like the look on his face when he realized that it was one of those puzzles, and just the like, I'm not gonna say anything because we're in a bar, but just like, oh my God.
Okay,
It'll be okay.
We're not going to do introductions. We're just going to we have now talked about Wheel of Fortune, and now we're going to talk about the subject of this episode. You see on the screen before you the hereditary monarch and all round I will get us demonetized if I say what I think about her. Queen of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Can we say it?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
Alice, we're not monetized.
We're not?
No,
No,
we're
hell no, we're not monetized.
No, we get our money from Patreon. We're adults.
Okay.
We can do anything. Say anything you want about anything.
Fine. So the unearned I pay fucking however many million quid a year to keep
You
her
personally?
in grace and favor. Well, me collectively, the British as a whole. Yeah. The bloody assassin of the people, things of that nature. Seen here with a rifle that doesn't work, and that's what we're going to talk about today. This is it's called the L85, but you may know it as the SA80 because it was introduced as part of a program called Small Arms for the 1980s, and we'll get into it. But it is a garbage firearm, and
That's the best kind.
yeah, absolutely. I'm also struck by how British everyone in this photo looks. Like, just as a sort of a phrenological exercise, just like the shape of the faces and stuff. Everybody looks like knobby knobs from Futurama.
It looks like all of them were smoking about 5 seconds before this photo was taken.
Put it up. She's coming.
Yeah. Okay. Next slide, please.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yes. So we have to do some background and talk about guns and the British Empire, two very bad things. So this here, the rifle here, is a Lee Enfield rifle, which you may have heard of. It's in like Call of Duty and stuff, the World War II ones. They don't really make anymore.
Woo, Battle of El Alamein. Hooray.
Yeah.
Tanks grinding into nothing for days on end.
Absolutely.
Lee and Enfield, that sounds like my childhood.
It literally is, actually. Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, there's only 4 place names in Britain, so we have to reuse a bunch of them. Anyway, this is a good rifle. This is like it's up there with the L1011. It's on Well, There Isn't Your Problem. It's an engineering success. It works very well. It comes into service at the very end of the 19th century, and it kind of stays that way into the 50s. Like it's an invention of Victorians for a world without airplanes, and you can still use one of these today. You can use one of these to like shoot at the coalition in Afghanistan if you want. But we had a problem which was called World War II, in which a lot of people had to do a lot of killing very quickly. Next slide, please. Right, so we see here an Antifa. An innocent member of the Waffen SS on the left is being milkshaked and assaulted by an Antifa style thug who probably caucused for Bernie, things of that nature, is in a union, and is holding a submachine gun, which is something that you invent when you figure out that it's more useful to have a gun that fires a lot of small bullets very quickly to do Antifa shit than it is to have one big one that fires a full-size rifle round. It's a good idea. It works. You can see here. Next slide again, please.
So he's going to try and ban the gun immediately after he's finished using it,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah. I figured
They still use those today, which is it's a good design. You can replace it for free if you want to.
Yes, which we shall get into, because in this next slide we have some more of Antifa's greatest hits. So on the left we have, literally and metaphorically on the left, some Jewish Belarusian Antifa with a German submachine gun, an MP40. If you can you John Madden that?
Hold on. Why is it only giving me laser pointer here? I want the pen.
Oh, it's probably just because you have it open to view but not to edit. Whatever. That's not important.
All right,
anyway,
all right, I got the laser pointer. Are we talking about this guy here?
Yes, this guy right here. It's small. You can see it's smaller than the rifle to the right of it, and that's because it's what the Germans called a machine pistol. But same deal. Like it fires pistol bullets automatically, very quickly. And same again on the right. That's a bunch of French Antifa with a Sten gun, which it's short for the two designers' names. I think it's like Sterling Thompson, and the N is for Enfield. And that's just absolutely the cheapest. And Liam, you mentioned replacing it for free. This is basically made out of dirt. You can. Yes. You can make one of these out of plumbing parts, and somebody did. It's genuinely, I think a British guy named Luty made one of these in a shed out of plumbing parts, like PVC pipe and stuff, as like some kind of political protest. It's strange. Grover gun.
It's like the 3D printed guns that like are so popular now. It's like, well, this is why we should repeal all gun laws in the United States, which I'm ambivalent on, honestly, but
yeah, I just love the idea that you have $1,000 3D printer to make a gun that fires once and then breaks, and then you can like, if you have a lathe, you can make 100 of these things. So yeah, ban lathes is where I'm going with this.
100. I'm against that. Very much against that. Lathes are fun.
That is true,
especially if they're slightly out of round, like all the lathes I've ever used.
So next slide, please.
Gotcha.
To be fair, that makes the rifling a lot easier, I suppose.
Yes, barely. It doesn't really make any difference. I've selected a bunch of photos here of various submachine guns, mostly Stens, being manufactured and operated, and it's very easy to do, which is why, because we live in a society, we can tell it's easy to do because they let women do it in the 1940s, and they didn't let women do anything in the 1940s. It's very easy to make, it's very easy to use. It's simple, it's cheap, and it's kind of a weapon of desperation. But we don't like women doing stuff. We like men doing stuff because that's manly, and women doing stuff is threatening. So the whole time, as we have the desperation of World War II rolls onwards. You have all of these men in sheds thinking, yes, but what if we came up with something in between that big rifle that we saw in the second slide and this kind of easy, dirt cheap submachine gun? Next slide, please. Everybody tried a bunch of very steampunk ways of making these old bolt-action rifles like the Lee Enfield fire automatically. And I looked for an hour for an example of this that does not have Ian McCallum's face in it, and I gave up. Hi, Ian. Love your work. And I forget the name of the one that he has in front of him here, but it is like some kind of fucking steampunk contraption where like an arm comes out of the side and like physically moves the bolt.
I was about to say there seems to be some kind of guide to the bolt here.
Yes,
and that's terrifying to me.
Yeah, you're just firing it, and that's why it has that hand guard over the trigger, is so that your hand doesn't drift up and just get caught in a big external reciprocating piston thing that you've bolted onto the side of this rifle. That
seems unwise on the whole.
Yes. It was a stupid time in the history of firearms. This doesn't work, right? Like, people keep trying it, and it just doesn't work. You can't make a full-size automatic rifle like this. Meanwhile, though, the Nazis are doing some experimenting, and they come up with something sort of in between that machine pistol we saw in the hands of Antifa earlier and something like this. And then they lose the war and get owned, which is good. We love to see.
Yes.
Yes,
very good. Nazis bad. This is the last just war the United States was involved in.
Yes. A Sturmgewehr 44.
No, I'm not doing that. You're welcome for not having to speak German, by the way.
It means, Sturmgewehr means assault rifle, and we'll get into this.
I thought it meant storm rifle.
Same thing. It's
the fucking Germans.
Some overlap. I know. Next slide, please.
I want to point this out, though. Fairfield, I hardly knew her.
That doesn't even make
Thank you for that.
Because it's in Maine. We've been making this joke several times before.
I see.
Right?
I see.
Only the real fans will get that one. I'm sorry.
Are you?
Not enough.
Okay.
Pretty decent deal on Teddy Roosevelt's shotgun back there. Anyway, I found this meme from like right-wing gun nerds who are pretending not to know what an assault rifle is. You'll notice it's very low resolution. And it's very low resolution because I don't respect them, and I don't respect them enough to get a high resolution one to put on the podcast.
I appreciate that about you.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to like make you all look at some really blocky JPEG compression just because of my contempt.
It's the National Association for Gun Rights, but it has like the Liberty Bell on it.
Oh, it does.
Right.
There's your like Philly tie-in.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm offended now.
What even is a national? That's not even like the NRA. I could understand, but this is like some weird. Anyway, right. These guys.
Nargle. It's called the
Nargle.
The Nargle.
Wouldn't it be the Nagr? Like
Narfgle?
The Narf. I guess if you're pronouncing the F, yeah, I guess so.
Snarf.
The Snarf.
Yeah, Snarf.
Okay, so they love doing this. The American right wing love to pretend that there's no such thing as an assault rifle and that it doesn't have any meaningful definition. In part because of the assault weapons ban, which tried to ban assault rifles on the basis of what looks scary. And that's the only critique in this picture that's valid, is this is an assault rifle because it looks like this, right?
Right.
We're ignoring that. There is a useful definition for us. An assault rifle is a semi-automatic, which means you pull the trigger once, it shoots once, you pull the trigger again, it shoots again, or it's selective fire, so there's a little lever that you can pull, and it either does that or it just shoots automatically. And it uses a bullet that's what we would call intermediate. It's bigger than a submachine gun pistol round, but it's less big than the big Lee Enfield rifle. Next slide, please.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
I can push buttons.
I'm very proud of you.
Look at
So,
those cars in the parking lot. Wow.
Yeah, I
And the tank.
This slide was a treat for you guys.
Thanks, Alice.
just breathe in the ambience of Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland.
I've taken the train straight through this several times.
I've been there.
We're going to do that on Sunday.
Seems unwise to just run a train straight through the middle of this, but what do I know?
That's your stupid British attitude. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Right, you can't put a train straight through the middle of the Aberdeen Proving Grounds? Wow. Wow, cowards.
That's some old world backwards thinking, and you're welcome for saving your country.
Yeah, I'm taking the Northeast Regional and just lobbing tank rounds over the main line. And it's like, no, this is perfectly fine. This is America.
Your Amfleet car just plowing through a bunch of those 50s Cadillacs that are still there for some reason.
That's why the windows are so small.
Yeah.
To avoid shrapnel.
Okay, so in this extremely brown slice of Maryland, World War II is over, right? Nazis gone. Well, apart from the ones that are being employed in the US on like rockets and stuff and whatever.
The unpopular Nazis are gone.
Yes, the unpopular Nazis are gone, and like both the Soviet Union and the Western Allies have stolen everything. Well, not even stolen, liberated. Let's say,
yes,
everything of value that they were working on, including this Sturmgewehr. This assault rifle, which a guy in Russia named Mikhail decides to adapt and make the best rifle of the 20th century because Mikhail's surname is Kalashnikov, right?
Yes.
Yes, we may have heard of him. We stand a proletarian hero.
Well, he wanted to make agricultural equipment, but
yes.
you could plow with an AK if you really wanted to.
You probably could, yeah.
But plowshares into swords. So obviously it's tremendously threatening to just have a guy named Mikhail, who is also a communist, invent the best firearm of the 20th century. And so the bad guys of the Cold War, NATO, decide, okay, we need to do something about
my
this.
Name's Mike. I'm going to make a gun. It's going to be the greatest gun.
Yeah. It's more...
I'm going to call it Mike's gun.
Armor Mike. Yeah, no, it's slightly more involved than this, but only barely. Because the idea is, like, everybody wants NATO to have one rifle in common that fires one kind of bullet, and that way, when you have West Germans fighting next to Belgians fighting next to Americans, you can just use the same supply lines. And so what they decide is, here in the brown glory of Aberdeen, we are going to do America's Next Top Model, and we're going to do we're going to do fucking Jeopardy or whatever. There's your game show connection. We're going to do trials, and we're gonna like find out which of these rifles works, and then we're all gonna use it, and that way Mikhail is gonna get owned, and we're gonna win the Cold War.
So it's Shark Tank, but for guns.
Yes, basically. So let's take a look at there are three big competitors in this, and I'd like to begin with, of course, naturally, next slide, please, America.
Yes. Oh shit! Look at that! Holy fuck! That's a big gun.
This is also
that's so you don't lose it.
It's just a really small guy.
Oh, I see. He's like making it look like it's his big fucking dick.
Yeah. Shit ain't changed, man.
Yeah, posting was always thus.
Here I am posting in 1950.
Yeah, this is the kind of shit all of us would have been doing in the war. I had to check, by the way, when I found this, that this was real, and it actually is. They did make these. They made like a 2-scale or a 3-scale rifle for training armorers. So you can fuck around with like the really small pieces because they're all blown up to size. And also this guy can use it to pose like it's his giant dick. So this reflects, and it kind of does reflect, the American attitude going into Shark Tank Guns Edition, which is, we've just won the Second World War. We did that with the M1 Garand. It's a very good rifle. It's a big rifle. It fires a big, powerful bullet. It's semi-automatic, unlike the Lee Enfield. We just stick with that. Just stick with that. We modernize it a bit, maybe. And the big bullet that it fires is 30 caliber, or 7.62 millimeter if you use gay European units. Which is handy because like they use it for everything else. There's a bunch of it around because they've been just like cramming it out of factories in Detroit and on the West Coast in order to win the war. And so, it's quite convenient. So that's America. What do we think about this sort of maximalist project here of the giant dick gun?
I love it.
Oh, I like the giant dick gun as a concept, but now that I realize this is a blown up version of the actual gun, I think they should make the gun bigger.
Yeah, if anything, this is too small. But so that's our first contender of Shark Tank, is the enormous dick gun.
It's actually my opinion that we should only have artillery, and just everyone should be able to fire mortars.
Howitzers everywhere.
Howitzers. Yeah. Everyone gets a howitzer.
It'll be like that Electric Six video.
105 millimeters of freedom.
You're going to have a recoilless rifle.
Oh, those are sick.
Yeah. Okay, next slide, please.
Don't fire indoors.
So here is our second contestant. On the left, here you see the Enfield in Lee Enfield and also in Sten.
That is brown.
That is a pretty building.
Something about like places where you build or test firearms, the brown shows up. It just like it leaches the color out of the landscape.
You should see the what's the one in Hartford? Is that
Springfield Armory?
No, Springfield Armory is in Springfield.
Is it Colt?
I think it's Colt's in Hartford with the big onion dome. The building's still there. I don't think Colt owns it anymore, but it's got a big onion dome on it. It looks really cool.
Well, no one owns this anymore. This is the Royal Small Arms Factory at Enfield, and it's like this. As you say, it's this fine Victorian building. It like you can't see it, but in the back of this, it like goes on forever, and they have these huge halls for like turning barrels and stuff. What they produced in order to enter Shark Tank was the thing on the right, which I don't know why it looks the way that it does. But this is called the EM2. I also don't know why it's called that. It was like designed by a guy named Jansen, so they should probably have called it the Jansen Enfield. But in some like quest for modernization, it's just the EM2. And just drink in that beautiful furniture there with the weird bulge on the handguards, and the like fucked up looking trigger. It's delightful, isn't it? Just aesthetically.
Oh, I love
it. It certainly is a thing.
This is. I should also say this is a bullpup rifle, and all that means is that the magazine, the metal can where the bullets are, is behind the trigger. It's not in here, but if you just move the laser pointer back behind the grip, right about there, a little bit back further. Yeah, right there. There'd be a magazine sticking down. And this is a land of contrasts, right? It means that you can have a shorter rifle, but the barrel is longer. But it's also incredibly aggravating to use because to reach the magazine, you have to like reach behind yourself. And it's just very user unfriendly, which is why nobody does it. So that's 2 out of 3 Shark Weeks. What do we think of this hideous like Fallout Tactics looking EM2?
I want to point out 2 things. Number one, one thing which is very strange is this is the Enfield, the gun manufacturer, and we mentioned previously Springfield Armory and then Colt, and then there's in Connecticut there's a town called Enfield, which is exactly in the middle of Springfield and Hartford, which is where my grandmother lives.
Place names. There's only 4 place names. We just keep reusing them. Britain is a mile wide. If you try to fly here, they just like make you put the window shades down, fly around in circles for 3 hours, and then land. It's So,
and the other terrifying thing is there's a swan right here, which is looking very threatening.
That's true. It is. Like, I think we missed a trick with this whole like unnamed goose game thing. I think swan's much more terrifying.
A goose is more comical than a swan because a swan will fuck your shit up.
Oh, a swan will just break your arm.
Yeah, a swan. Anyone who has had to deal with a swan knows that like they mean business. The goose is like funny. The swan, well, that's not funny.
Those are bastard birds. Those are bastard birds.
I suppose if that's a swan at Enfield, they would have to like call it something like the Swanfield.
That swan probably has a gun.
It does. It does. There's no way it doesn't.
That swan probably is a gun. Everything in this picture is a gun. It's like this is Guns World. All of these like bollards in the front here, gun. This canal boat, gun. Yeah,
it's a gun. Yeah.
Okay. Next slide, please, for our third and final contender in Guns Shark Tank.
Oh boy.
Yes, please boo.
Boo.
So this is the fancy European option.
Oh, isn't this the FAL? This is a good gun.
It is a good gun. It is a good gun.
I love the FAL. It's my only friend.
I don't know anything about guns.
So the FAL is designed
a good gun.
It is a good gun.
Yes,
we will put it next to the Lee Enfield in the like there isn't your problems. But it's designed by Belgians. It's designed by Fabrique Nationale.
Yeah.
That's it's called the FAL because it stands for Fusil Automatique Léger, the light automatic rifle. Yeah, just like I'm just speaking different languages just to annoy you now, Liam.
Oh, it doesn't bother me. As long as you say France instead of France, I'm okay.
It's a Léger gun. You know, you can shoot. You can be reclining in like, you know, I don't know, a cafe on the sun.
Yeah, you can just like you're
drinking some absinthe and doing suppressing fire. Yeah,
yeah. The Fusil Automatique Louche. You just take a little like glass of pasty with it. Yeah. So this is the third and final contender for Shark Tank, and both the EM2 and the FAL, these two, want to use this like small cartridge. Unlike the Americans' big 30 caliber 7.62 millimeter, they want to use a 280 caliber, and therefore it's lighter. You can carry more of it. It goes faster, travels further, all that. This is also an insanely corrupt process because it's between 3 capitalist countries.
So Le Rafale Automatique.
Yes, everybody is just getting like sacks full of cash and baguettes going back and forth. It's an incredibly dirty process. But the idea is, if you go into Shark Tank wanting to come out with 1 rifle and 1 bullet for all of NATO, then these competing business interests kind of reach this compromise, which I guess you might call insider trading, or price fixing or something of that nature. But there's this deal that happens where Europe goes to the US and says, okay, you take our Belgian rifle, this extremely loose rifle that comes with a little wine glass, and we will take your big, ridiculous dick-shaped bullet for that rifle. Would you like to guess how this worked out in practice based on what we know about the United States as a political actor?
Alarmingly well.
Poorly.
Liar.
I would say alarmingly well for you guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I love, the thing is, I love America, unironically, because if you have a virtue as a country, it's not respecting a bunch of decrepit European states and just lying. And so when this deal was made, the American defense establishment was like, yeah, sure, we'll take the gay Belgian rifle, and we'll put the good American bullets into it, and that's fine. And we're both happy. And then you don't do that, and
Good.
you just yeah, exactly. Like the FAL you see here, it's a good rifle, but you don't want it because fuck you is why.
Yeah, because we have the M16 busy killing our own soldiers.
Not even the M16 yet.
No, it's the M14, isn't it?
It's the M14. Yes, you want if you go back a couple of slides, you want the big dick gun. You want basically the M1 Garand, just like more so. And that's
Grande.
Yes. And that's what you get. And you use that in Vietnam. It's very successful to a point. The FAL is successful too, but in a different way. It stays in Europe, and so all of these sclerotic European states use it to be very loose and do war crimes. But like purely in like a colonial sense.
Oh, that's not so good.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that you use to do war crimes in like a proxy war in Africa. They called this rifle, by the way, the right arm of the free world.
They sure
which is
did.
Just such a. I'm doing the jerk off motion right now. But that was the marketing pitch for it, was that you could use it, and you could like sell it to whichever dictatorships you wanted to empower all over the world, and like the wrong side of the Cold War uses these up to the present, basically. Unlike Mr. Kalashnikov's proletarian rifle, and unlike the M14 with its big dicked Americanness, this is just the worst European colonialist bullshit. So that's what happens in Shark Week, is America wins on both counts. Not fairly, which is even funnier.
Who gives a shit? We won.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Winning is what matters.
you do win.
Next
slide, please.
Gotcha.
However, Britain, in Britain, we hate Europe, right? But the only thing we hate more than Europe is not doing war crimes. So
understandable.
Yeah. Yes. We think about using the ugly EM2 that Swan developed, but that doesn't quite work because it's so fragile that when you try to use the big American big dicked bullet in it, it just kind of explodes, which you don't want. So we just use the FAL. We call it the L1A1 SLR for self-loading rifle. It works very well. We do many war crimes. You can see here the bad guys in Ireland, but also in the Falklands, and so on and so forth. It's very popular too, is the thing, because you can't break it. British soldiers are stupid and like chewing on things and trying to impregnate things and bending things and twisting things and hitting things off of other things and losing bits of things. And it's
so
not quite
soldiers.
up to... Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. This isn't quite to the extent of the AK, where you can just kind of like throw it in like a peat bog for 70 years and then it still works. But it's close. You can really mistreat this thing. And as such, it becomes very popular. Next slide, please. I'm getting through the first slides pretty quickly because this is like background. So, America was wrong. I mean, you
No,
kind of you
no.
you owned us,
America's
but
never-
you were.
We fought a war over this, Alice, and we won twice.
Yeah, that's true. You owned us in Guns Shark Week, and you got this bigger bullet, the 7.62 millimeter. But the problem is it doesn't work, or at least it doesn't work very well. As you find out in Vietnam, you take these M14s, these big dicked, basically upgraded M1 rifles to Vietnam, and you're firing these enormous rifle bullets out of them, and it's painful. Carrying around the bullets is heavy. It's more expensive. It's slower. Maybe, just maybe, someone in Aberdeen thinks, what if the Europeans who we fucked over had the right idea and we should get a smaller bullet? Next slide, please.
Un-American.
Yes, this is when America started to go downhill.
I noticed in the slide here you spelled bullet BOOLET.
Yes, because this is the heavy weapons guy, and so like I was trying to do the phonetic thing of bullet.
Ah, I see. but you did okay.
Bullet main.
Bullet.
Bullet. So this is going to require the laser pointer, I'm afraid. I really like this needed the John Madden, but the John Madden is unavailable to us. So
I could actually stop this really briefly and bring that back.
Okay.
All right, now we're doing this unprotected now. How do I start the presentation? I probably got to go straight through. Switch and whoosh. And
there we go.
I can do anything.
Okay.
I am invincible.
We have the John Madden back. Fantastic. So, on the very far left, if you could point that out, this big bullet on the left. This is the 7.62 millimeter, which was with the American design, right? Big dick bullet. Yes.
What is it? What's the? I'm trying to think. Bolshoi.
It should be like
I can't remember the character for sh.
Oh, it's the you had it. It's yeah.
No, there's one for sh. Is it just? It's not. Is it the one with 3 or is it the one with? I don't know.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there is our Bolshoi bullet, and next to it on the right is the American compromise. Like when Detroit started trying to make Japanese cars. And this is a 5.56 millimeter. So, and there's also a battery next to it. We can ignore that. That's not important. This is the Americans' idea of, okay, well, the Europeans were right, so we'll just do their thing. But if everybody was standardized on the big bullet, now that the Americans are deciding, well, okay, the big bullet was a mistake, then everybody else, the French, the Belgians, the British, decide, okay, this is stupid. Fuck the standardization thing. We're going to have to make our own thing. And that is on the second picture on the left. The bullet in the middle, the 5.56 millimeter, that's the bullet in the right on the second picture. And the like.
Wait. Hold on.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna have to. Yeah,
this is
Yes.
that, right?
No, go one over.
So excuse me. This is that.
Yes, this is
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
This is that.
Oh, that's
And then-
incredible work.
Yes. Just so it's very clear to everybody, we have one Russian word, one arrow with a bunch of squiggles through it, a hi, and then 3 other. What's important is everybody is trying to make their own smaller intermediate round. And so Britain dusts off the ugly swan rifle, the EM2 again, and makes this thing that's next to it on the second picture. This is a 4.85 millimeter. It's really obscure. The only people who think about it are us now and Ian from Forgotten Weapons that we saw earlier. And we decide, okay, we're going to try this with the old rifle that we had. This is a stupid idea. It's a horrible idea. We literally, you can tell it's the same bullet as the one on its right, but it's just been squashed a bit. Because it has been. That's what they did. They just kind of squeezed it, like in a vice. So there's, of course, because this is defense procurement, there is more corruption, and a bunch more deals get done, and eventually everybody forgets about this stupid idea and just uses the 5.56 next to it. Because it's like razors and blades, right? You spend more on bullets if you're an army than you do on guns, so that's more of a commercial opportunity. But now there's a problem, right? If you're Britain, you're still using big bullets. Everybody else has moved to this smaller bullet. So what do you do about this problem? Next slide, please.
Oh, you kill Margaret Thatcher. I'm into this.
Yeah, sadly, this is something she did while she was alive. But it was too good to pass up that picture.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. So, in Britain, we hate Europe. So we want something that isn't this Belgian rifle that we just took as part of like this failed trade deal because we got tricked by Harry Truman, of all people, outwitted us. Just literally.
Sucks to suck.
Okay, so the Americans, you have the M16 by this point. That fires that smaller bullet. That's quite good. Why don't we just use that? No,
it sucks.
Why don't? Yeah, because it sucks. No, that's not why we don't use it. We don't use it because Margaret Thatcher, and we don't like foreign things anymore. What we do like is British things. So what if that EM2 rifle that we've just been using to fuck around and create
steam-powered rifle. Steam-powered
more
rifle.
Or less.
Steam.
More or less. What if we take this stupid bullpup rifle that doesn't like really work exactly, and we used it to try to like do a bunch of doomed experiments, and we just like modernized it a bit, and we made it use this new bullet that everybody else uses, and we issue that, and we call it the Small Arms for the 1980s program.
Clever.
And it's gonna be very modern. It's gonna be patriotic.
Lame.
You know that. Yeah, the SLR. It might be incredibly like popular with the troops. It might be only 30 years old. It might be expensive to replace, but this is a prestige thing, right? Like we're gonna make Britain great again. We're gonna make this fantastic new, all organic, all British design, and we're gonna issue it, and it's gonna be fantastic, and we're gonna be a first world country all over again. Next slide, please.
God save the Queen.
So, there are some problems.
You don't say.
I have assembled here a slide.
No
of
bayonet.
Memes about
There's your
problems.
problem.
First time Chester Puller ever saw the flamethrower in action, he asked, "But where do you put the bayonet? And where do you put the bayonet?"
I hate to say it. This is the one thing on here that's actually untrue. It does have a bayonet. They did put a bayonet on it eventually. Everything else on here is correct. It has all kinds of problems. If you look in the bottom left here, I found a meme making fun of it in Italian, and
Oh,
I feel like your rifle is very bad when Italians laugh at you about it.
yeah.
It has some problems. May I have the next slide, please?
Grazie mille.
All right, this is Mikhail Kalashnikov firing an L85. He looks super jazzed about it. You can tell.
Look at that face.
I'm Mike from Russia, and this gun sucks.
I'm Mike from Russia. This is
I guess
Jackass.
he literally was Mike from Russia. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can only design a rifle if you're named Mike.
I'm
I
Mike.
don't know why.
I did the best rifle in Russia or the Bronx.
All right, so I got this slide for us to look at and appreciate while we talk about why the problems, right? Why is it so bad that Italians make fun of it? And on the macro level, it's basically the same as the APT, which was our last pre-episode. It's Britain in the 80s. Nothing ever goes right here. It's a dismal country. Nobody was making anything, so nobody remembers how to make anything. Everything's getting privatized. None of the workers give a shit. And so this modernizing great power shit just completely washes past. So what actually happens? What makes this so bad? Well, the first thing is that nobody in Britain knows what plastic is.
Oh boy.
Probably better off not knowing what plastic is. It's caused us nothing but pain.
That's true. If we can get the John Madden, if you could indicate the big green plastic handguard
Is that here?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That big green part. And if you could also indicate the pistol grip that Mike from Russia is holding onto with his hand. Yeah. And then
what appears to be duct tape here.
Oh yeah, that is. And then lastly, if you see the brown bit on top of the stock at the back, right, all of those are plastic, and you'll note that they're all different colors. They weren't meant to be. That's just how bad we were at making
Jesus
plastic.
fuck.
Just kind of like the olive green in the front, and then the vomit green in the middle, and then just brown in the back. That was all meant to be green.
Is this in the front? Something wildly different at the back.
Yeah. Excuse me, sir. Your gun is sick. Yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible plastic. It's for a rifle that has all of these giant plastic parts. It's kind of a problem if the plastic cracks when it gets cold, or if you get insect repellent on it, it melts, or if it gets hot. One other thing is that the safety lever is also made of plastic, and if it gets hot and wet at the same time, the plastic swells and it gets stuck, either safe or not safe, depending on what it's left on. It's just an incredible piece of quality control.
In the words of Homer Simpson, cleaning my gun with the safety off, the safety off, the safety off, cleaning my gun with the safety off.
Oh, but it's fine though. It's very difficult to fire this accidentally because the magazine keeps falling out.
You can fire it accidentally once.
Well, also, the firing pin means that you can't fire it on automatic, because if you do that, it snaps.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yes. It's delightful.
That's that.
Yes.
That's that British engineering. That
Oh yeah. This is like one of those weird British sports cars that come from a brand you've never heard of.
Leave the Morgan alone.
Not even the Morgan. I'm thinking more like your uncle's friend who had a Jensen Intercept.
Those are cool.
They are
just
cool,
don't run.
but they have the yeah, exactly. This is that. I mean, except that it's not cool, but it also doesn't run.
It's not cool and it doesn't work.
It's not cool. It doesn't work. The magazine keeps falling out, which I can't get over because it's the funniest in terms of like slapstick possibilities. Way for this to go wrong is just for the magazine to just fall out the end of the thing. Also, it's supposed to load 30 rounds into that magazine, but because Britain didn't know how to make a spring, if you put more than 28 in there, it just snapped. There's really a lot of snapping going on here. So that's the plastic part. The metal part, the rest of the like what the actual rifle is made of. Unlike the big Loosh FAL, which was all like heavily machined and like made out of like complex Belgian mathematical formulae and dark magic. This was stamped. You just like you get a plate and you like draw the outline of a gun on it and you stamp a big thing into it. It's actually a lot more like the submachine guns that we saw earlier. And that's fine if you want to make a submachine gun that's like disposable and you can just kind of like throw away. Less so if you want something that works now and has like these really tight tolerances and stuff. Because you can't like go back and measure and like re-stamp the thing. You just have to throw that out. And since nobody gives a shit, they're just shipping these. And so nothing really fits together. It's like, again with the car comparison, it's like the door handle being loose or something. The fit and finish is off.
Go look at Roz's loop video. Speaking of fit and finish and shit not being fitted properly.
Yeah.
Tesla is bad. I mean, I feel but Tesla, I feel like would have had like some kind of much more innovative system here, which would also go wrong horribly.
Yes, it doesn't have the imagination.
It would go wrong in a more interesting way. It would still be bad.
Yes, it would like explode or something. Whereas like, this is just
there's some kind of like new like auto targeting system that the U.S. military is looking at right now, I believe.
Oh yeah, where it only fires if it's like if you are guaranteed to hit something.
Yeah, they're trying to what's the word? What's the name of aim? They're trying to do an aimbot in real life.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, thank God we can trust the U.S. military with such delicate operations as an aimbot.
Well,
but only locks on to civilians.
I'm so. We talked about this on the APT episode, but like the dismal nature of Britain. You made a Russian look depressed. How did we do that? Like, how did we make Mike from Russia, who has only known making guns and snow and everybody he knows being killed by fascists, more depressed? Anyway,
I just want to make agricultural equipment.
I don't know. I feel like this thing would be better used as a plow by this point. You could just like pry the like stamped bits of metal off, and you can just use them as like shovels or something. There is also one other problem, aside from the fact that it doesn't fit together, right? Which is kind of a problem. We saw in those memes it keeps jamming. That's because nothing fits, right? One way to make things fit worse is to get dust into them. The weird, ugly EM2 had this problem where when it ejected spent cartridges, the like metal back bits of the bullet that we saw earlier, it just kind of flung them everywhere, like in any direction at random, which you don't want, ideally. So they fixed this. They patched this out early by making a nice big ejection port. That means it can rattle around however much it wants inside the rifle, and then when it finally spits out the thing, it'll come out in the way that you want it.
One hopes.
So you just have So you just have this nice big hole in the side of the rifle, and you know it's fine so long as you don't get dust in it. Just don't get next slide, please.
So unfortunately, we declared war on the color yellow.
Yeah, there was a problem here, which is that like we invaded Iraq the first time. Only 90s kids will remember. And where doesn't have a lot of dust or a lot of heat that like melts plastic things is Iraq. So by the time we invade Iraq, they'd already tried to upgrade the L85 once. It was the L85A1 now. It still didn't work, like, at all. The army commissioned a report into this, and I have a fantastic phrase that really just, like, sheds some beautiful light on the obscenity of the First Gulf War as a war, and that's some platoon commanders considered that casualties would have occurred due to weapon stoppages if the enemy had put up any resistance.
It sounds just like the M16.
Yeah, I love to have a rifle that doesn't work, but it doesn't matter because nobody's shooting back.
We'll be graded as liberators.
Yes, that is
exactly
what happened, as we know.
And of course, this report immediately leaked, and the Ministry of Defense denied it was real, then admitted it was real, then just kind of ignored it and hoped it went away.
I'm sure it did.
Yes. So you have this garbage rifle. It doesn't work. You can't, like, the magazine keeps falling out and you trip over it, and bits snap and bits fly off and bits melt and bits break and bits freeze. It's very, very disconcerting. What to do? Do you buy a new rifle, or like go back to the old rifle, or what do you do with this? And what you do, as it turns out, is you ask some Germans. Could I have the next slide, please?
Oh, the irony.
Yes.
Yes. After like decades of Antifa weapon design, we finally go back to the inventors of Fa and and say something like "Guten Tag, mein Herr, bitte fixen mein Gewehr." Please make it work. Just like when you're like building like a model kit and you just like jamming things into other things and you just have glue in places and you just work. Is like this. So we go to the Germans and say, we will pay you an exorbitant amount of money to fix this terrible decision that we've made. And the Germans say, yes, that will be one exorbitant amount of money, please. And fix it by just kind of throwing parts that work into the thing that doesn't work. Like throwing loose RAM into a computer case. And this is the surprising thing. Yeah. After getting us to download more RAM, and I think we paid something like £80,000 per rifle or something. It was just a vast amount of money. It works kind of as the L85A2. And it remained thus, right? It keeps being successful-ish. We still have it today. And we're now on a DLC model. We're on an A3 at the moment, which was charging us again to change all of that like weird green plastic furniture to brown because we don't invade anywhere that has green anymore. So
congratulations on all your success.
Yes.
Abandoning your Irish colonial
furiously
ambitions.
play World Northumbria.
But if only we had the sense of the IRA, the good guys, and just gone with the Armalite, this all could have been avoided. But
yes.
Once again, we have to blame Hot Dog dancing on the corpse of Margaret Thatcher for insisting.
Whose fault this is?
Yes. For insisting that we have to have the British things in Britain because we're a real country and we're a real boy and we're grown-ups and we can do things ourselves.
Like lose the Suez Crisis, yeah.
Yes. We take we take the training wheels off of our bicycle and immediately fall and bust all of our teeth out. Next slide, please. So, I just picked a photo at random. This is apparently Miss Great Britain 2015 because we had a troops thing. I don't know. I know. I don't think those eyelashes are regulation. Anyway.
She's very pretty.
Sure.
Why not?
Was the L85 a bad design to start with? Yes. Was it badly engineered and badly implemented? Yes. Was it like one of those things that we do where it's not even an engineering disaster, it's a management problem, and like the people trying to build it, that they're not the problem, the people are the problem ordering it? Also, yes. It's every single episode we have fit into this taxonomy of engineering disasters. It's all of those at once. There is nothing to like about it. No great deed is commemorated here. But we're stuck with it. And okay, now we've had 2 rounds of DLC by some very efficient, very expensive Germans. Does it have redeeming qualities, you ask? Is it has it finally matured with time? Has it been like the APT where if only we just have enough patience, the kinks get worked out and it becomes quite useful? No, it's still garbage. It was a horrible Thatcherite idea. Mike from Russia is right to be disappointed in us. We produced a horrible weapon made out of Fisher-Price plastic. And I have one last slide.
It's the Playmobil rifle.
Yes. Yeah, it only works if you have the Lego Man hands that are just semicircles. So to end on, this is my personal experience with the small arms for the 1980s thing. It's one more thing for me to complain about. You can see here these are some teenage boys who are being soldiers. It's not child soldiers just because they're children and they're soldiers. It doesn't count when we do it. It's look, when Hamas or whoever just give a kid an AK in a parade, that's child soldiers. This is so completely different. Don't worry about it. So America, you have ROTC, right? You have that thing where you're in high school and you pretend to be in the military.
Yeah, Nazis.
Yeah, Razzies.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have that from middle school as an option.
So you formalized the Boy Scouts as a paramilitary.
Yes, yeah, very much.
We also have Jay Razzie in the United States, and if you've ever met one of those fucks, holy shit.
Oh my god!
Yeah, you think
I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't mean to insult these kids who I'm sure are blameless, but yes, very much the same vibe here. But you have this new rifle, right? Obviously, you can't just have every school have a bunch of assault rifles in it because it's not America, right? And also we were worried about the IRA, the good guys, breaking into schools and suddenly having a bunch of rifles, which is something they would have done because it would have ruled.
Yeah.
But instead, we produced this thing, which is like the airsoft gun version, kind of. This is the L98 cadet rifle, and it was the bane of my fucking life for a significant proportion of my teenage years. Because what they did to make this IRA proof was they just took the gas system out of it, the bit that makes it reciprocate inside the gun. So it's did you ever have a BB gun where you fire the thing and then you have to pull back the thing and then you fire the thing again?
Yes.
Yes.
Same thing. It's like a spring. This is by default a straight pull bolt action rifle. It's a less efficient and uglier version of the Lee Enfield we saw way back at the top. And also, if you see, can you highlight that little sort of comma shaped handle on the side?
Tell me when I'm.
It's like right in the middle. It's the big protruding hand. No, further back. Like
this guy here.
Yeah. So that's the thing that you have to pull back in between each shot, right? There's a problem with this, which is that you'll notice it's on the right side of the gun. You can't fire this left-handed, because if you do, that flies back and smacks you in the face and breaks your nose. Same on the real one too. Nobody like ever figured out a way around this, and so the army for years was just like, as far as I know, still is just like, just be right-handed, just pretend to be right-handed, and it's fine. Oh, the other thing is, even if it doesn't hit you in the face, it shoots the like cartridges out of the side into your face. So
ideal.
This really just, yeah, it was not.
What a great gun!
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's so aesthetic and it's so efficient, and I hated it so much. The only thing worse than using this for target practice was teaching younger kids than you to use this for target practice.
Nice.
It's so unintuitive. Everything about it is wrong and difficult, and why does the magazine keep falling out? And it just is. I have PTSD off of this. And the worst thing is, because cadet forces like always got like hand-me-down equipment and stuff, we had, when I was doing this, we had a bunch of old Lee Enfields that we got to fuck around with, until one day they shut that beautiful promise away from us and like, okay, now you have to use this, and I will never forgive them for it in my life.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah, it just like that was my first lesson, that there is no lasting joy in this world. Everything of value is temporary. Just awful. The 80s were a garbage time. Yeah, that's. I believe that this was all I had for this. So I hope you've enjoyed like a fucking tour through dismal British firearms design.
Thank you for thank you, Alice.
Thank you, Alice.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yes,
I did enjoy how this entire presentation was titled gun.pptx.
Well, what else was I going to call it?
Margaret Thatcher is dead. Revised.
I'm so glad she is. Yes. We have now Brexited, but this I feel like this is up there with Brexit, like British self-harm to get attention.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, and there is one more slide, which is next week's episode.
No, obviously, yes.
Tacoma Narrows,
which is the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. Yes, we're gonna finesse that, and we're going to bring that back to you as
the third fucking try we do this or whatever.
Yes, the definitive Tacoma Narrows Bridge experience.
I was still thinking, as a bonus episode, what we need to do is, of course, a Catholic, a Muslim, and a Jew trying to determine what Protestantism is.
Oh, yes.
That's Protestantism is when you do that weird style of command prayer where you like hit the air conditioner and say, "In Jesus' name, air conditioner, I command you to work." That's all it is. Like that's what Martin Luther was trying to do. Like he just nailed up a thing that said I should be allowed to tell my air conditioner what to do.
Oh God. All right.
Oh, do we have any commercials?
At the end of the bonus episode?
Yes.
At the end of the bonus episode, because like people haven't paid us enough.
Yeah, I think you should subscribe to the Patreon if you pirated this episode.
Yeah.
I'm not sure this was the best advertisement for that. The other 2 Patreon episodes are way better than this.
I liked it, Alice. I thought you did great.
I had a nice time on this episode. Yes.
I feel like I was just I was the one talking, and I would just I don't know. At least I got to like argue about Protestantism, which is all I ever really want.
No, that's the next episode. No, we're actually going to do that. We've already determined this.
Yeah.
Or at least Liam and I determined this.
Yeah,
No, this is fine. Yeah. I don't know why you need to do a whole hour of me saying the one line that I had, which is correct about it being air conditioners. This is like HVAC repair, guys.
Liam was telling me earlier about like the King James
only. Those some fucking weirdos.
Look, the real engineering disaster is sola fide.
That's true. And predestination.
Yeah. This is the one to get the internet atheists angry.
I will say that if you're interested in more bad rifle content, I think it's Lions Led by Donkeys did a deep dive into the history of the M16 and how it was kind of doomed from the start.
A sister armament to this.
Yes.
Considering we all exist in the Nate Bethea extended universe.
That's true, yes.
Yeah, and also Riley had to use Nate's account to call into the podcast.
That's true.
Technically, Nate has appeared on 2 episodes. Well, no, just the 1 episode of Well, There's Your Problem.
Do we want to do outros, commercials? Already said that.
I think we had covered that.
I'm Liam Anderson.
People on my Discord who are mad at me.
Go
all
ahead.
the people on my Discord
just all talk over each other for this.
Just want to say, all the people who are mad at me on my Discord for not updating Franklin, like, you will be proven wrong soon.
It's coming. God damn it!
I am doing the work.
Yes. Also, listen to Trash Future, of course. I don't have to run that one, so I'm less incoherent.
I am. Yeah, okay. I was gonna do the I'm Liam Anderson thing, but I think I'm good. People know who we are.
Yes.
Yeah, but look forward to the next
goodbye,
bonus
everybody.
episode on Protestantism. Suck it, internet atheists.
Yes.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
All right.